My name is Travis Greene. I'm the director of product marketing for our ITOM product group, and my role is primarily to research what's happening in the marketplace related to the things that we provide solutions for, and to help communicate exactly how Micro Focus delivers against those requirements in the industry that both are emerging as well as sometimes things that just never seem to get fully satisfied out there. So there's sort of a combination of both emerging technologies and existing technologies that all need to be cared for. And there's a lot of analysts out there, let's say, who might tell you that you should just completely bifurcate the way that you approach the management of those things, and never the two shall meet. But I think a lot of our customers have found that there's real efficiencies to be gained if you can centrally approach the management of cloud and containers, as well as all of the your virtual environments, your private clouds, your even physical infrastructure, networks, and so on. So those things, they're still necessary for, I think, the generation of most revenue. And the thing that we see the most of is companies struggling to achieve their digital transformation goals because they have been sabotaged, maybe that's not even too strong of a word, by the idea that they're trying to figure out how to get the management to work between all of these various groups. This hybrid IT, as it's called, is something that can really slow down a digital transformation effort, because you can't abandon the things that are generating the revenue for a company and just go pursue all the new stuff all at once. You got to have a foot in both.
Absolutely. It's something that, I'm kind of trying to learn a little bit more about, because I've always been heavily involved in the ADM side of the application development management. And, ITOM kind of always felt to me like, when we talked about multimodal and bimodal delivery, about the kind of the core IT functionality, which is there and, isn't going anywhere, and it's got to be secure and resilient. And, some of those challenges, operationally is the life and heart of some of these businesses. So to me, IT operations, again, like you said, isn't going away. Actually, it's going to be evolving continuously. And I think, there's so many new market opportunities that seem to appear. And I know the last time we spoke, I was speaking at the South African Universe around RPA, and you guys had just released a challenger product into the marketplace, which was a game changer around RPA, robotic process automation. And that was kind of bringing two products together, well established, the OO product as well as the UFT product, and really, disrupting the industry. So, have you seen a few months on, is that starting to get some real traction?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned the application development side of the house, and it's those folks who want no ops, and for good reason. I mean, I understand the frustration with traditional IT operations, where there's kind of a sense that things move slowly, that it's very risk averse, whereas in modern and agile development methods, it's just fail fast and get it out there, see if it works, and then fix it, as it goes along. Um, and so there's this natural sort of push and pull between operations and ADM, but RPA is a great example of how you take new technology and a new approach to solve problems in some of the existing portfolios that we have, and do so in a way that can be maintained in a modern way of doing things. So RPA is finding most of right now, most of the users of RPA are the current customers of the OO and UFT products. Not that it couldn't benefit anyone who's pursuing RPA, but there's some real advantages with our approach, because you can leverage all of the content that you've already built for those products. So if you've already built workflows in operations orchestration, you can take those and reuse them. And if you've already built test scripts in UFT, you can reuse those as well. And what that does for you is, and if you're familiar with RPA, it's using primarily user interfaces to exercise applications for some purpose, whether it be testing purposes or it be the purpose of offloading a lot of repetitive menial tasks from business users. And those folks, they're not technical. They need something that is going to have that reuse built into it, that they don't have to do a lot of go out, hire an army of consultants to come out and make it work. They need a minimal of hand holding, and they need it done quickly. And of course, our advantage too is that not only the reuse of the existing technologies, but the blending of UI and API based automation that is inherent with our OO product is also proving to be a far more powerful approach. Because what happens is people dip their toes in the RPA, and they want to automate maybe some work that a finance person is doing, or HR, facilities, and then they find out that there's sort of a natural boundary that occurs, that they just can't get something done simply with the user interface. So now you've got to figure out, how do I integrate into these other products, and go back to that age-old problem of creating these sort of brittle connections between things if you don't have an API available for it. But when I use the term API, I'm using it loosely. With the approach in our product, there's a number of different ways. There's command line interfaces, and there's a number of different approaches beyond modern APIs that you can use to integrate in with other products. And that's providing a lot more flexibility for the companies that are using us. So our RPA customers tend to be solving some of the biggest challenges that they have with this product.
Yeah, and I was blown away with the seeing it all come together, in the sense of, like you said, there's an acceleration aspect if you've got OO already, and being Micro Focus and the biggest pure play software vendor in the world, you've got so many companies that are already leveraging your IT operational tools, who've invested in writing those scripts, or leveraging what's already available in OO to actually get down to like you said, at the CLI level, any APIs, database, whatever it may be. Plus, you've got all the enterprise grade tools like security and privacy, so you can do those restrictions of making sure that you've got the right auditing level, you've got the right compliance, using the right credentials, all that stuff's baked in. And the example with kind of creating a website, a new product, and then going into a back-end system using a green screen mainframe, that's always been the power of things like UFT and some of those enterprise capabilities you've got from that side of things, as well as the OO product suite, which is incredibly comprehensive and has a very rich history behind it. And some of the numbers were really impressive. You said about kind of the analyst community around man hours saved, increases in IT staff productivity, and also kind of things like service response from your service desk. So, it'd be interesting to see, especially when SMAX is such a powerful platform, and you've obviously got Max, which is the assistant as well, pulling those two products together. I know you've not really focused on process mining, but understanding what those big requests are, whether people are wanting to extend their, their a database size or something like that, and then start pulling in SMAX as well as the RPA tool. Do you see that potentially there's going to be a bit more of integration with some of the other suites in the IT operations management landscape?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the direction. We've been in our service management portfolios, we've been pulling together more products to use a common user interface and a back end. So we just recently launched the ability of our cloud management product, our hybrid cloud manager, to be able to leverage all of the goodness that service management automation provides, SMAX provides, which is things like a chatbot that understands natural language, with natural language understanding, being able to use some of the hot topics that the analytics built into SMAX provides. And so marrying RPA into SMAX as well is definitely in our future, and being able to do some of the mining of the requests, and being able to share a common set of data on the back end is going to continue to accelerate our ability to provide our customers with better solutions for what they need. And SMAX really has three constituents. It has the business users who are interfacing with it and need, ideally they don't even want tickets, right? Like they see, for us, our vision of the future is a ticketless future, one where the users come, they interact with Max, the virtual agents, and Max answers their questions. Max solves their problems for them, and that's because Max is backed by a really strong and powerful AI component, which some of you may know as IDLE. It's technology that was acquired some years ago and has been built into the product now for several years. And Max is able to understand what is being asked for and to provide reasonable answers for those things, and interact with people in a way that encourages them to keep asking until they get to the root of what they're looking for. And so having that pervade the platform, whether it's for the purposes of supporting those business users, supporting the IT users who are also requesting technology. So you mentioned the developers earlier. Those developers, they want no ops. Well, that's fine. Like we can give them that at least at a veneer level. It appears that way to them because we can give them assets as they need it. We give them assets to the cloud. Like developers constantly want new infrastructure to roll out their apps on, but they don't want to have 5,000 choices. They want a set of choices that fits kind of what they need, and then be able to put in the variations and the exceptions and things that they want as well. And so, you can provide them with that, with our embedding cloud management into SMAX. Now they can go to one interface, they can select the infrastructure that they want, they can make the fine adjustments, and they can get it rolled out automatically without having to worry about where it's even provisioned on the back end. Or, there's all the, once you provision it, you've got all these other things you got to think about. How's it backed up? How is it monitored to make sure that it's performing the way that it should be, and collecting data back for the developer to be able to know if it's performing and how to make adjustments. You want to be able to have some level of resiliency built in. So you might have some high availability structures that have to be built around that, and the cost governance. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people complain about the fact that they ran some test on a Friday and didn't realize it kept running all weekend, and now they've got a massive bill from Amazon or Google or Microsoft or whoever they're using. And that's, you want to put some governance around that as well for everybody's sake. And so, we do all that automatically. We build, the developer can come in, get what he wants, quickly get it rolled out, and not have to worry about all of those things. But they still need to be done, right? So it's not really no ops, but from the perspective of the developer, it's a very lightweight operational interaction that feels very familiar to them. It's similar to what they would be doing if they went directly to the cloud providers. But it even leverages things like a lot of companies have invested heavily in their own virtual environments. They've got VMware all over their data centers, and those private clouds are sitting there sometimes unused because now all the developers have shifted their workloads to the public cloud. Well, it may be that there are situations or certain applications that call for keeping it inside of your own four walls, and those policies can be built into the cloud management platform. And again, it makes it just super easy. The developer doesn't have to worry about that, right? It just goes where it should go based on your policies that you've already set.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating way of kind of this low code, no code kind of development where, and we could really use this. I've been doing since the COVID outbreak. I've been working with the guys at MIT on the COVID Safe Paths, which is a contact tracing platform. And, we're all on Slack. And we're all kind of asking, well, who's managing this? Who can spin up this? What's the latest build? All these kind of questions. It feels like having someone like Max sat in there listening to our requests to gain access to a particular environment, a staging environment, to understand where the build pipeline is, all those kind of great things, it kind of starts feeling like potentially we're going into this AI ops kind of landscape of, like you said, from a serverless slash no ops kind of viewpoint, is if someone's got some workload they want to kick off, they provision it, but at the same time, it means that your Prometheus or whatever starts linking into all your operational tools. So even if that system is then destroyed once the workload's complete, you've still got operational information, you've got governance, you've got compliance, you've got all the data and how you've managed that from a GDPR perspective, all that level of kind of security and policy and data retention and backup and all that kind of great stuff which operations can provide, all rolled in to a kind of, I need to have access to an environment. Can I do that? Is that policy right? And then while it's grabbing all this information, it's starting to be a bit more predictive about what we're doing instead of more reactive and say, well, actually, yeah, I keep on seeing there's a more usage on this VM, so we need to put more cores on it, so you don't have to request it, and it can be a bit more smart. Do you see, Vertica and obviously some of the predictive analytics capability that you guys have come in starting to integrate to provide you those kind of AI ops platforms?
Yeah, so AI ops is really important to us as well. I mean, as much as we are trying to provide ease of use to the business users and to the IT users, now you've got the core IT administrators who have to maintain these environments, and to do that easier requires AI ops. Now, AI ops has been defined by both the analysts and the vendors in different ways. So you have to be careful when people use that term. What do they really mean? I liked your definition, the way you were describing it, because we do see it in much broader terms, I believe, than a lot of others do. But a lot of people, when they think of AI ops, think of the core event reduction, the capabilities that come from marrying analytics engines to the event streams that you get from monitoring tools. And that's important. It's an important place to start, but it's really just the first stage of maturity. In fact, Gartner actually publishes a 5-stage maturity diagram that you can go look up if you're a Gartner client, and you'll see that the stages continue to proceed through things like not just reactive but predictive approaches to the types of event streams that you have coming in. I mean, ideally, you want to prevent problems from disrupting the environment rather than just react fast to them. Reacting fast is important as well, but getting to a place where you actually can head off some of those problems before they occur is really important. And then if you go all the way up to the 5th stage, you'll see that it kind of comes full circle, because now you have the data being married up with the incidents that are coming in via the service desk. So the end users ultimately will tell you if things are going haywire. And those being able to know, hey, I've got an impact to my users, I've got events that are happening in the environment. If in today's very large, very distributed environments that span the cloud and span private clouds and public private clouds and physical infrastructure, if you don't have some way of having visibility across all of those environments and some way of you applying analytics to get through to the root cause of what's happening, then you're going to spend a lot of time in war rooms and troubleshooting and sifting through noise, and it's going to cause an even bigger impact to your business. So that's we're for us, having Vertica as one of the technologies in the Micro Focus family of products is really key, because it is designed for exactly this purpose: is to sort through mounds of data, having a big data lake, pulling everything in and making some sense of it is exactly what it was designed to do. And so we're actually taking Vertica and applying it to our Operations Bridge products through technology that we refer to as COSO. It's an acronym that stands for Collect Once, Store Once. And that's the key for any analytics engine, is to have access to lots of data. There's a lot of niche vendors out there who will tell you that they've got AI ops, but their data sources are very limited. Whereas for us, we've got it plugged into all of the data sources that you can possibly have, and are extending that even into security products and beyond, right? So that we have at Micro Focus, with the breadth of portfolio that we have access to things that most vendors don't have, and that provides us an advantage when it comes down to really understanding what is impacting the systems. I mean, from a security perspective, I mean, we always think of the acronym CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Well, that third part, the availability, I mean, a security attack can take down an application just as well as a corrupted database can. So, it's all part of the equation.
Absolutely. And I think, COVID has probably taught us, or taught some of the clients, some valuable lessons about resilience, really, and how they deal with different patterns of load as well. So I know you guys have always been at the forefront of things like performance engineering from your ADM suites and your load runner family. And again, from a security, your Fortify perspective, you've got so many capabilities around that area. When it comes to this, which is something I'm still trying to get to the bottom at the moment, is this site reliability engineering trend towards dealing with this. Well, actually, now we've got this information and we've eliminated some of the IT operational noise, and we can start seeing that actually maybe we're seeing certain events happening over and over again, and we've got to be a bit more proactive about it. Do you feel that maybe, systemic failure and the kind of issues which people have operationally in those large estates, chaos engineering and those kind of new techniques with SRE are going to be, potential customers off your pinpoint failure and your root cause analysis capabilities as you develop these products? Do you think that'll give them, the Ops Bridge and NOM and all the other kind of tools you've got are going to give them a lot more insight to making sure things don't go wrong and catch them earlier?
Yeah, well, so one of the things we're seeing is that in DevOps, there's this trend towards building in the monitoring when you build the application. So the way that data is collected can be done in a number of ways, but it's not that it's difficult to instrument your applications for data collection. It's how do I actually collect it and make use of it, especially in scale and across multiple environments and that sort of thing. So having that data fed back into the development tools in a way that's easily usable is important if you're going to do chaos engineering and some of these modern techniques. So yeah, it's critical that you work with we believe that you work with the vendor who is capable of delivering that data to you, again, in a way that's consumable. I mean, anybody can throw a bunch of charts at you or give you an Excel spreadsheet full of data, but if you, as a quality engineer, if you have that right as you need it and in a format that makes sense as you're building out these sort of approaches, then it'll be a lot more efficient for you, and you'll be able to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, I to be honest, it's kind of been one of my pet peeves of the DevOps landscape. And I'm doing a book tomorrow actually, which we're working on kind of this kind of ops dev approach. And I know people put DevSecOps or whatever, enterprise DevOps, whatever the term is. But to me, the idea of DevOps was blurring the lines between operations and development, but it always seemed to have more of a focus on the ADM development and less on the operational side. And I think this was kind of where I've really struggled when I've been looking at organizations that have been trying to adopt these kind of techniques. And my lack of operational involvement early on in the life cycle seems to have, caught a lot of organizations out, as you said, by they're releasing faster, they're failing fast, they're proving hypotheses much quicker. It seems that if it was more of an ops dev approach where you were building it for the operational state the end state, and you had a bit more of an understanding before making decisions. Oh, we're going to go down the GraphDB Neo4j route, thinking, well, actually, what's that going to look like when it comes into the actual operational viewpoint, and getting operational teams involved earlier on in sprint planning to understand, well, what this is the definition of deploy, or in production ready. I feel like there's so much work that still needs to do, because the business is the operations, right? It is the heart and blood of most organizations today, and they're going through and getting these challenges, which is increased traffic, the kind of the risk exposure of getting a new product to market, maybe a new stream like an omni-channel to be able to deliver because of the pandemic, and they're seeing what these issues are with those kind of quick releases to into a kind of a continuous deployment and continuous delivery. I just feel like operationally there's a lot more involvement for and ownership and risk and governance that should be involved. And I know you guys have done so much good stuff with the IT for IT framework, and I know you've done a lot on the ITIL kind of side of things, but I do feel like it needs something that encapsulates all of the activities within the life cycle, not just one ADM and you're safe, or your dad or your less, or your kind of scrum of scrums. It really benefit from having a framework that encapsulates the entire of IT.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you introduced the topic of IT for IT, because I mean, when you think of who owns the interface with the business users for IT, it's typically through the service desk function. And while there's business relationship managers, and there's other people who are constantly working towards building apps and things like that, or new services that the business needs. When it comes to the day-to-day operational use, it is the service desk that does that, and of course that's typically owned by the operations team. And there's a goldmine of information in there for the development team to understand where are the frustrations of those users. And IT for IT calls for a feedback loop from the service desk function into the quality aspects of what's happening over in the development side. And so we've architected parts of our tools to be able to hand off that information in a way that will drive continuous improvement, without having it be just some sort of manual, hope that people are talking to one another. And I would hope that they would, but the reality is that having that kind of front and center in your face, as part of the workings of day to day in your environment, is going to bring the attention to it that it deserves. So yeah, there's IT for IT. We can go on. I don't think we're going to have time to cover everything that we're doing there. But I mean, what we've done is we've mapped all of our tool capabilities into IT for IT and demonstrated, and we use this internally, right? We have a very large development organization ourselves that is spread out over multiple continents, that is covering as many as 300 different software products. In the past, was using multiple different methodologies, all kinds of agile and waterfall. It's a mix of everything. Basically, we're like your typical enterprise. And by applying IT for IT and creating a consistent set of processes and tool chains, dramatic improvements. So I've got some slides and such if you want to see the data, but dramatic improvements in cost and time saved and so on to be able to address those user needs. And we have some folks internally who are fellows of Micro Focus and are architects for IT, Lars Rosens, the chief architect over at IT for IT or at the Open Group. He volunteers his time there. And he's available to help our customers out, to do a little bit of consulting with them to identify how to get started on that IT for IT journey if anybody wants to.
Oh no, that's fantastic, Travis. And so, what's your big bets? For kind of what you're seeing at Micro Focus as kind of things that to look for in the next year.
Well, like I said, on the ESM side, ESM is another loaded term, enterprise service management. It's largely defined as being able to address using ITSM products, tools to address business use cases. And we certainly do that. So, whether it be HR, marketing, or finance, and so on, those groups can take advantage of some of the friendliness of the Max AI, as well as the workflows that are built behind that to help improve things. A lot of people are using RPA as part of that. So we kind of see this convergence of ESM not just being an ITSM tool applied to business use cases, but bringing along all of the other pieces that we've been talking about here. So RPA and cloud management, asset management, another re-emerging thing. People are looking to keep costs under control with IT asset management, software asset management in particular. We see the adoption of configuration management as applied to the cloud. A lot of discovery and automation has to be applied when you're talking about the cloud. Configuration and change management 20 years ago was a slow and plodding and methodical thing that's no longer acceptable in any environment, no matter if it's physical or virtual or public cloud. So a lot of discovery and self-maintenance of what's happening in the environment. So all of these things coming together, single perspective. We're using the term architecture rather than platform to describe that. A lot of our competitors will talk about their platform. I think the difference there is that a platform, you got to kind of buy it all in order for it to work. And our perspective is we want to make our architecture open and modern, that it's cloud native, and you plug into it and get out of it what you need. So if the only thing that you really need is configuration management, you can use that, and it will provide value alone, but it provides greater value the more you do plug into it. So if you're a user of a different service desk technology and you want our configuration management, you can do that. If you want our service desk technology, SMAX, and you want to use some other asset management, then that's available for you as well because of the open nature of the way that we've built our architecture.
Yeah, that sounds so awesome in the sense of just kind of open, really interconnectable with all the technologies that you're going. Market leading is kind of where Micro Focus and they've got the heritage around there as well. As far as emerging things, I know I spotted a post you've done around IT. IoT analytics of things. Do you think you're going to start seeing more connected devices with 5G coming on, and like you said, managing large estates? Well, there's a lot of people working from home, so asset management starts becoming a real challenge. Is that something you can see increasing as well over the next kind of 12 months?
Yeah, well, it's already increasing. 5G is kind of rolling out slowly, so I know everybody's promised that it's going to create this explosion of IoT stuff out there, and of course, there's no shortage of new devices rolling out, and everybody's minds immediately leaps to the home use, and that's interesting. But I don't think anybody's really looking to have enterprise software manage their refrigerator anytime soon. But in the manufacturing of these things and the way that new services are provided by companies like one of our big customers is a large automotive manufacturer in Detroit, right? And these guys are known for their ability to interact with their cars via satellite and Wi-Fi technologies. And so there are some use cases there whether it's better able to provide services to the end user in ways that make them feel like that company cares about them on a personal level. I mean, it's that personalization and high touch, not in a creepy way, but in a way that actually people appreciate having someone looking out for them. That's the trick, isn't it? Is kind of find the balance there. But if you can find that balance of the services there, then that's new technologies for interaction, whether it be Starlink satellites or 5G or whatever winds up winning, or maybe it's all of the above, gives us a reach into things that are going to help make companies more competitive. And that's what we try to do is listen to what our customers are trying to do to compete and support them. And we call that customer-centered innovation. So for us, we don't necessarily chase every analyst recommendation that's out there. Surprisingly enough, analysts have proven to be wrong from time to time, and it's for us. We don't find that a business winning proposition. So sometimes the analysts don't give us full credit for the things that we're doing, but we like to have our customers drive us towards the things that they're working on. And the way that we do that is, we've got a great practitioner portal, great community where people are exchanging ideas. In fact, we have something we call an idea exchange on our customer community, and our customers vote on what they think needs to be built into the products, and that is one of the key ways that we prioritize new features, new capabilities, and so I think that we do things differently because our customers are driving that interaction, and it's not based on chasing what competitors or analysts are doing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I know, being previously involved with things like the cab before, and obviously just finishing virtual universe this year has been a really awesome kind of experience. To be connected to your customers in that kind of way and have that community side of things. And obviously, Vivit has been part of that. I know your team did an amazing job back in December for the virtual customer days, and we covered some really great topics around, the NOM, Ops Bridge, Data Protector. There's just, so much innovation coming out of Micro Focus, and it's disrupting the industry by being customer centric and, really, applying that to real challenges that your customers are faced with. So, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on, Travis. As far as, the community and the install base, who'll be probably listening, what's the easiest way to, you talked about the ideas exchange, but, to reach out to you or your team, submit an idea or, just, keep up to date on what's new?
Yeah, well, if you're a current practitioner with our products, then docs.microfocus.com is the practitioner portal, and from there, you can explore any of the products that you want to, get all the latest news on any of those new features. We do release quarterly for most of our products, so there's constantly new capabilities coming out, and then there's a great community on there. You can engage with your fellow customers. You can engage with our customer success organization and support organizations. And there's blogs on there with, where my marketing team is constantly releasing new information about, innovative things that people are doing. We've had, challenges. Our customers, of course, have had challenges with COVID-19 and the surge in remote workers. You can find out what others have done to respond to that. Heavy VPN use and some pretty innovative ideas on how they're using SMACs to respond to the workload of people working from home. There's all kind of goodness there. So yeah, I'd suggest you kind of start with docs.microfocus.com. If you're not a customer already, of course, we'd love to have that conversation with you. And there's if you just go to microfocus.com, there's a little chat bot that'll pop up there that's based on the same technology that we use for Macs. And you can ask the chat bot all sorts of questions, and of course they'll connect you with the right people to talk to.
Awesome. Well, it's been fantastic to have you on the show, Travis, and thanks again for just the awesomeness of Micro Focus.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Jonathan. Hope you have a great week.